the darkness they sail bold and true, warriors of steel, the brave and the few. On the horizon their presence looms, USS Wisconsin, the ship that consumes. Through the fire and smoke they forge ahead, bullets and bombs on iron they tread. With each blast and roll they stand tall, unyielding in battle they'll never fall. Sailing through the storm they fight as one, a symbol of strength under the setting sun. In the depths of war they find their light, USS Wisconsin shine through the night.
Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video features a comprehensive review guide of the USS Wisconsin. USS Wisconsin is an Iowa-class fast battleship and among the final battleships commissioned worldwide. Wisconsin contributed to the closing stages of the Pacific Campaign by escorting aircraft carriers and shelling coastal fortifications occupied by the Japanese forces. Wisconsin participated in the Philippines Campaign and the Battle of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and even shelled the Japanese home islands shortly before the end of the war in September of 1945. Beyond World War II, Wisconsin actively engaged in conflicts in North Korea and the Persian Gulf, and after colliding with the Fletcher-class destroyer USS Eaton in heavy fog in 1956, Wisconsin underwent major restoration, receiving a new bow section from her unfinished sister ship, USS Kentucky. And ever since 2001, Wisconsin has been a museum ship permanently berthed in Norfolk, Virginia. Now, the Tier 10 battleship USS Wisconsin is coming to World of Warships in Update 13.3 as the main reward for the Naval Dockyard event, of which there will be 30 total levels. There will be 2 starter packs available, 2 phases for 3,200 balloons, and 9 phases for 12,000. Now, the West Virginia 44 variant will be available for free at stage 20. Now, should a player already own West Virginia 44, then they will receive 3 phases when they earn the 44 as part of the dockyard, and Wisconsin can then be earned totally for free. 3,200 doubloons is the minimum cost for Wisconsin if the player does not already own West Virginia 44. And should one choose to purchase all the phases for doubloons at the start of the event, then completing the mission phases will give an additional bonus of 250 steel per completed phase. So that's how you get Wisconsin. Now let's start by having a good look at this ship. Now let me just quickly start by putting up the build I'm using in this replay. As you can see, nothing really terribly out of the usual. I am using the Damage Control Party Mod 1 in slot 1. I am also using the Artillery Plotting Room Mod 2 in slot 6 for improved shell dispersion. When it comes to the captain skills, you do have quite a bit of flexibility. I have gone for the turret traverse, grease the gears, but one could quite easily go for brisk, and instead of preventive maintenance, one could also very easily go for gun feeder as a tier 1 choice. Now you do have a bit of flexibility here. With any good battleship, let us start by having a look at the armor layout. For those of you familiar with American battleships, nothing really unusual here. 32mm of fore-end plating both on the deck and the side plating. Same at the aft end, all 32mm. Superstructure is 19mm, while the main deck is 38 along with the upper casemate. All pretty standard, but quite solid. 38mm is quite solid. There is a torpedo protection plating covering the whole armor belt of an additional 38mm. And once we get under that, you can see the belt armor. The main casemate armor is 307mm, a lower section of 297 millimeters, and the lowest section, which is well submerged, is 163 millimeters. The main battery gun turrets get a frontal plate of 432 millimeters, the top plate 184, side plating 241, and the rear plating on these gun turrets is 305 millimeters. So pretty solid. When we take a look at the actual citadel of the ship, you can see here, just by this port screenshot, submerged, well under the waterline, running from just under the front turret to just under the rear turret. So quite well protected under the waterline. The frontal athwart ship is quite strong. It has 297 millimeters, but it must be pointed out the rear athwart ship is only 16 millimeters. She is quite vulnerable. You do not want to be presenting a straight stern towards the enemy, because it is possible to be citadeled through the stern. Before delving a little deeper into the Wisconsin ship stats, let me quickly cover the ship consumables. Wisconsin gets access to damage control party, repair party, 5 charges with this build, allowing you to repair 642 hit points per second with a consumable action time of just over 30 seconds. That is with this build and a full complement of signal flags. You get a choice between spotting aircraft and fighter and American defensive fire, which gives a 50% boost to continuous damage, and the shell explosion damage bonus is 300% with an action time of 40 seconds. USS Wisconsin also comes with combat instructions called Immediate Systems Reload. To activate this, you have to actually hit enemy ships with your main guns to increase your completion progress, and while you're in active or not hitting the target, you will lose this progress. However, once your progress reaches 100%, it can't be lost, and to activate these combat instructions, all you have to do is press F. Now these are quite significant. The activation effect includes a main battery reload time booster of 50%. That's a huge reduction of 50% in your reload time, and the consumable preparation and reload time is massively affected. It gets an 80% reload buff to its reload time. So basically you can cycle through your consumables very, very quickly should you choose, and have this ready for activation. And the action time on this immediate systems reload is 20 seconds. We'll talk a little bit later about how these actually affect your reload time. So let's start with the ship's actual stats. In terms of survivability, Wisconsin gets 81,100 hit points and a torpedo protection damage reduction of 25%. Now this is further reinforced by having access to 5 of these repair parties with this build, incorporating emergency repair expert, the captain's skill of course. One can improve the torpedo protection damage reduction to 32% should one choose for vigilance, but that is down to the captain's preference. So let's start with the meat and bones of USS Wisconsin, the main battery gun stats. She gets 9 406mm main battery guns housed in 3 triple mounted gun turrets, 2 fore and 1 aft, and with this build they have a reload time of 30 seconds. With this specific build, these turrets can rotate 180 degrees in 37.5 seconds and have a max dispersion of 270 meters with a max firing range, not incorporating the spotter aircraft, of 23.4 kilometers. These guns have a sigma value of 2.0, so quite reliable main battery guns. They can fire both high explosive and armor piercing. The max damage on the high explosive is 5700, 5700, with a 36% chance of starting a fire. They can pen 68mm of armor with a shell speed of 820 meters per second. Wisconsin can also fire armor piercing. These have a max damage of 13,500 with a shell speed of 762 meters per second. And I must admit, this armor piercing is the heavy American AP. It feels quite reliable and you can really punish enemy broadsides. The combination of good penetration and decent accuracy, especially combined with the combat instructions that can drastically reduce the reload speed by up to 50%, it gives you an incredible amount of options to take advantage of enemy mistakes. Wisconsin also comes with 20 127mm secondary battery guns. These have a reload time of 5.7 seconds. They have a max firing range with this build of 9.2 kilometers, firing high explosive shells. They've got a 5% fire chance. They contain 21mm of armor and have a shell speed of 792 meters per second. 20 of these 127mm guns housed in 10 twin mounted turrets, 5 on each side, port and starboard. When it comes to anti-submarine warfare, you get the depth charge airstrike. These have a 30-second reload with 2 available flights, each with 1 aircraft dropping 2 bombs. Each bomb has a max damage of 4,900 and an operational range of 11 kilometers, so quite decent for tier 10. In terms of AA defense, quite significant. I've had some very decent results with this anti-aircraft defenses, including even a game where I believe I shot down over 40 Eagle aircraft, which is quite significant. Eagle aircraft are notoriously difficult to shoot down, and should you be subjected to sustained attack, the combination of the raw damage and the defensive fire consumable can be quite useful. Wisconsin gets 49 single-mounted 20mm Oerlikons. This is augmented by having 80 40mm Bofors mounted in 20 quad-mounted gun turrets, quite significant. 80 of these 40mm guns. This is further reinforced by the secondary battery being dual purpose. These 10 twin-mounted 127s. All combined, they pump out a continuous average damage of 461. The vast majority of this is medium range damage. Wisconsin can fire 8 shell explosions per flak salvo with a hit probability of 75% with a max damage of 1764. Now the action zone on this flak is 3.5 to 5.8 kilometers, which is the max firing range of these AA guns. Quite chunky AA numbers. And remember, this is further reinforced by having the defensive fire consumable. And remember, in combination with combat instructions, you can get a very quick reload time on this consumable. In terms of maneuverability, Wisconsin has a max speed of 34.1 knots. That is with the Sierra Mike signal flag. Base speed is 32.5 knots. The turning circle radius on Wisconsin is 920 meters, and the rudder shift time is 13.8 seconds. Now I am using the steering gears mod in slot 4. So finally, concealment wise, USS Wisconsin has a concealment rating of 50, that is both incorporating captain skill and the concealment system upgrade in slot 5. This equates to a surface detection range of 12.9 kilometers by enemy ships, and by enemy submarines and enemy aircraft you will be detected at 9.3 kilometers. So this is the USS Wisconsin. Fast firing main battery gun turrets that are quite accurate, have decent penetration, combined with the combat instructions allowing for insane reload speeds in combination with adrenaline rush. And whatever type of build should you go for reload mod, you can actually get this reload time down to a base of 26.4 seconds. Now then throw in adrenaline rush and a potential 50% reduction to the main battery reload speed, you can get this down way under 13 seconds, making any potential broadside move by an enemy ship it gives you a max opportunity to be able to punish these targets. Should you miss with the first one, you have a second shot ready very, very quickly indeed. Add in its very nice armor layout with a submerged citadel. These combat instructions allow you a very, very rapid reload time on all of your consumables, including your repair party, allowing you to get through serious amounts of incoming damage. Should you be focused by enemy aircraft, you get a very, very quick reload on the defensive fire consumable. It just gives it a very tanky feel in general. So, USS Wisconsin, the brand new dockyard reward ship and one of the most requested American battleships, is finally entering the game. Big Whiskey, as she is commonly known as, USS Wisconsin, finally entering World of Warships. So I hope you enjoyed this little preview guide of the USS Wisconsin. Feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel immensely, and I thank you all in advance. If you'd like to see some live Wisconsin gameplay, feel free to come over and visit me on Twitch. You can see the link here on screen. I look forward to seeing you all.
Enemy battleship destroyed.